You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, my friend Rob. Hi, Rob. You're here.
Hi.
This week, my guest is Richard Speight Jr. You know him, Rob?
Yeah, I knew him.
Yeah.
Came on our podcast.
Yes. Very good. He's been a million things. I mean, he's honestly done everything. Independence Day, The Trickster on Supernatural, Band of Brothers, which I tested for and didn't get. Fuck Richard Speight. He was Unjustified. He's got over 75 acting credits. What do we talk about in this episode? A lot of shit.
Yeah, you talk about a lot.
Doesn't he talked about it? His sperm was rejected?
Yeah.
Because he was 5'8".
Yeah, he was rejected to give sperm.
Yeah. Well, you'll hear about that. What was it like working with Tom Hanks and how it was the highlight of his life, his time working as an actor and a director on Supernatural and pissing himself on stage in a play. Let's get inside of Richard Speight Jr.
It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Oh, so it actually works regardless of the box?
Yeah, we're recording.
It's just for us.
But here's the thing. If you're going to record it, there's something about hearing yourself, which is, it's not that I like to watch myself or listen to myself, but there's something about hearing your voice that you can sort of just calm down.
Right.
Richard Speight Jr. is with us tonight.
That's very
I could have that NPR voice, all things considered.
Very chill for the Art Bell driving home at night.
Right.
Talking about space things.
Thank you for allowing me to be inside of you, Richard Speight Jr.
You're welcome.
This is do you listen to NPR?
I do listen to NPR.
You seem like a really smart guy.
Oh, I'm glad I've put forth that facade.
Well, I talked to some people. You worked with my friend Greg Coolidge and Kirk Ward.
Two of my favorite people. Two nicer guys you will not find.
Right?
I mean, unbelievable.
I mean, they're the nicest guys in the world. I did Sorority Boys with Greg Coolidge. He wrote it. And I always wanted to work with those guys. And so we become really good friends. And they went on and on about you. And I always feel like I know you, but we don't really know each other.
No, I think we physically only saw each other in person, knowing we were seeing each other like last year when your band was playing with Jason Mann's band.
And that was at the Troubadour?
Yeah, the Christmas.
That was the first time I'd ever performed, sang, and played guitar in front of people.
Wow. How was that? I mean, how'd you find the experience?
It was, I was nervous as shit, to be honest with you.
I get that.
I felt like I'm out of my element. I've never done this before. And Jason was this guy who was always like, "Hey, Rosenbaum, you're writing some music." Right? And I go, "Yeah, I'm writing some music."
Right.
He's like, come and open for us at the Troubadour. And I said, "Nah, we're just a little band called Shit Sandwich that we play in my basement. It's just like my friends who just started playing instruments. I'm not really a
Spinal
singer."
Tap reference?
It wasn't. We just, like 20 years ago, my friend Tom and I were on ecstasy. And we were just playing guitar, and we felt like we were rock stars because when you're on ecstasy, and I'm not saying the drugs are great, and
right, sure.
I don't want to talk about that, but it was a long time ago. I was young. It was when Smallville first started. I was excited. I took some E, and we played music till our fingers bled, like the summer of '69.
Nice.
Who sang that?
Bryan Adams.
Bryan Adams. And so he's like, "Dude," and his girlfriend was all potted up, and she said something like, "You guys were great."
That's your audience, man.
And that was our audience. And so we thought that was it, man. That was going to be the extent of it.
Right.
And then fast forward, we're playing some music in my basement. We're just, I'm writing some originals and just having fun, not expecting to ever go anywhere with it. And Jason said, "Come to the Troubadour." And somehow I said, "You know what? Why not? What's going to happen? Am I going to die? What's the worst I can embarrass myself in front of Richard Speight Jr. or my other friends?"
Right.
Because you guys, you're a singer, you're a performer, you're a musician, you write. So I did it.
Right. And that's awesome. By the way, good for you.
Thank you.
Because that's what separates, the grown-ups from the non-grown-ups. And I didn't want to say men from the boys. That's not, that's gauche now, but you know what I mean? Like because it's one thing to do it in the privacy of your own home. It's a different thing to sort of put yourself out there for judgment. And regardless of the fact that you're like, "Hey, I'm with my friends," it's still on stage with a bunch of strangers. I did. You guys I heard.
Be honest right now. Gun to your head, on your family. Did we suck?
No, not at all. In fact, I am shocked to find out that was the first time you ever performed. That's
really?
my honest answer. I had no idea. That was not intel that was given to me beforehand. So
Well, I
finding that out
appreciate
now is like, wow, I had no idea. You guys were, and not only that, you seemed so relaxed
Xanax.
that
Quarter of a Xanax.
I just, because I
Very
was like,
little.
man, you walked in, you're like, hey, man, like high fiving everybody, and like just you're the mayor of the Troubadour, and I'm like, I didn't know this dude was like a touring act of music. Like that's his other.
It's all a facade, and we can get into the facade later on. But like, I think that people expect. We gave up with the headphones. By
Well,
the
yeah.
way. We
So
both
you
took our
jettisoned
headphones off.
yours.
Oh, this is
Oh,
Rob.
okay.
Rob, by the way, Richard. This is Rob, my producer. He's
Rob.
he has a child. He's 28.
You are a child, or you have a child?
He's 29.
I get it.
Is this better?
I can hear you now.
I could hear you now too.
Okay.
This is kind of it gets sexier.
It
when
does
you hear
get.
the
It gets a
headphones.
little more like
Yeah.
dim the lights, stir up the martini.
So anyway, I was just saying that don't you find it that, if you're nervous, and maybe you're not one of those guys who gets nervous about things or gets anxiety or freaks out.
Au contraire.
Oh, good. I like to hear this
Oh.
because we can get into this. Because with me, I sort of make it look like, oh my God, this guy's so confident. He's so almost cocky.
That's your de facto.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
but inside I'm dying. And I need to do this to almost pump myself up psychologically.
I understand. So that's where you go. So when you get nervous, where you go is your body reacts the opposite way. You become gregarious, right? I mean, that's
Right, but I'm exhausted.
it's your defense mechanism.
So
Well,
maybe I'm thinking, should I just maybe go? What do you do?
I have for starters when I play music. So let's start with music.
Let's start with music.
Because you're gracious to call me a musician, and I guess I'm a musician in that I play music, but I've never been a songwriter. I mean, that's not where I express myself well. I like playing with other people, playing their music. I like being a utilitarian player.
Can you pick up a guitar and just follow what they're playing with chords and know where they're
A
going?
little bit, yeah. I'm mainly a bass player, so that's mainly my.
Is bass the easiest instrument to learn?
I would say
drums?
the triangle.
The
would,
triangle.
would start there. And
I
then
would say you're right.
maybe the spoons and then the juice harp.
You know what? Triangle doesn't get enough credit because it's not easy to keep that ting tang ting.
It's if you can count to 4,
Yeah.
and move your limbs, I think you can play triangle pretty consistently.
There's a couple of people out there that we just lost. That are
Yeah.
triangle players.
I know.
They're just like fuck space.
Triangulists are just really over it. But no, so like I feel like here's the thing. Back to your bass thing. I think there are bass players who just go thum 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 thum, and you go anybody could do that.
Yeah.
And then there are bass players who have reinvented the instrument. Flea. The guys who are just like who are just unbelievable players.
Yeah.
And you kind of take.
Where are you?
No, I'm not Flea, but I'm also not thum thum thum. I would say I'm.
You're flum.
Oh, that guy's better than shitty. In fact, that'll probably be.
I bet you're better than that. You're
the
being
name of my
self-deprecating.
autobiography.
Better than shitty.
Better than shitty.
Hey, you know what? That is a great title for a book.
Yeah.
All right, so we met each other at the Jason Mans thing. Jason
Right.
Mans is a good friend of both of ours.
Another one of the nicest people in show
guys.
business.
That's I think the key to success, and I'm not talking monetary success. I'm talking about happiness, success, is to surround yourself. This has been spoken by many people, a lot brighter minds than myself.
Right.
Surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
And when you're around them, you feel better and you're a better person.
Well, Jason Mance is one of those guys that I've known for a long time. I know you have too, who's just infectiously kind and chill.
And I've never seen anybody not get upset about anything.
Knows what I'm saying, man. Like
What the hell?
if the shit goes down, I want to share a foxhole with that guy. I
Yeah.
don't think we would ever get rattled. Our squad would never fall apart if Mans were our sort of field commissioned lieutenant.
I think you're right. I think if there was an announcement, that thing got, back in the day when they had those loudspeakers where it was
Yeah.
like, please go into your houses. There's a nuclear bomb coming. I would go to Jason Mann's
I'd
house.
go to Mans' house.
Jason, what do we do? Nothing.
It'd
We're
be
cool.
a long
We're
walk.
fine.
He's in Virginia.
He's in Virginia.
That's the thing. He'd be like, "It's all man. It's all good, buddy. Just gonna hang out.
And
Maybe we get bombed. Maybe we don't. Whatever."
that's kind of what he would do.
Dude, seriously. We have a running joke. I'll tell you.
Who's
Jason
running
Manser.
joke? You, Jensen, Ackles, Padalecki, Benedict.
Rob Benedict.
Right.
The whole gaggle from the Supernatural universe. We have this joke because one time he was playing a show. Matt Cohen specifically and I were sitting backstage listening to Jason Mans play a show in Las Vegas, Nevada. And he's up there just strumming his guitar. His music is very chill and relax. He's playing, and he's kind of noodling between songs. Like he finishes a song, crowd claps, and he's just kind of noodling around. And you hear him say, "Is there a doctor in the house?" And I thought, man, yeah. Is there a doctor in my house? That's so true. I need to look at my, like, here he goes down another poetic road, and he's talking I feel like he's talking to me about me. I need a doctor in my house.
But he's not.
And then he repeats again, no, seriously, is there a medical professional? A woman's passed out in the aisle. And I realized, this is him in emergency mode.
Yeah.
I mean.
Now let me give you an example of what I'd be. I'd be like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Get somebody. I would, most people would freak
you'd
out.
hear the breaking of guitar strings and the panic and the,
I envy him. I sometimes, there's things I envy about men. It's not a gay thing. Maybe it is, but like there's certain things I envy, like Jason. I always thought, like I look at Jensen and Jared. I'm like, gosh, they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
They're so handsome. And Jason's beautiful too. And it's just like, but it's he's so calm. He takes life in stride. But then I think, you know what? The only thing that keeps me going is I'm like, no, he stresses. He freaks out. We're not seeing it. He has to. He's a human being.
You're true, but I think he handles stress well.
You do.
I do.
I don't.
I mean,
I don't.
I think you'd like. Okay, like I said, I don't think Jason handles stress well at all. Yeah, man. No, I get it. I mean, and he's a big mofo too.
He's a big guy. He wasn't always a big guy. The thing is Jason, I'm not knocking him. I'm saying if the guy decided I'm going to lose 25 pounds, he'd be a supermodel. If he just decided, I've told him, Jason, if you even wanted to, you don't need to. But if you decided, I'm going to just drop 25 pounds, you could probably go on tour, be in Milan doing the runway.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
couldn't do that.
He's easy
I could be
eyes.
ripped.
No,
I'm not doing a runway.
No, I'm not doing a runway. I could maybe put on ear protections and get direction and work on an airport runway. Like tell the Delta Airlines.
You know what? But you're a very handsome man. But you're like me. I think you're unique. You have a unique look. You're just like, and that's why you work so much is because A, you're talented. B, you have a unique look. You're not. I don't think people want to see just like a bunch of pretty boys like all the time.
Well, certainly that's what I tell myself.
That's what I tell myself.
Yeah, I mean, I go with that. I know that here's how you know that you're not a specimen is that when I was a starving student and I thought, me and my dumbass friends thought, it'd be a good way to make money. And by the way, caveat, this is not a good way to make money.
Right.
We thought, hey, let's donate sperm samples. We'll make a few bucks, buy some beer.
You did this.
The huge. No, here's the thing. I was rejected because they won't take sperm samples from people who are under 5'9".
You're under 5'9"?
I'm 5'8".
I didn't even realize that.
I'm 5'8".
You're 5'8", and they wouldn't take your sperm?
Yeah. So I got smacked down twice. Once.
That's profiling
America
or something.
Doesn't want my sperm.
That's racism,
no lab.
Or
it's spermism.
That's specimenism.
Yeah. Nobody wants my samples.
Because what if the woman who took the sperm was really tall?
Well, she would not have the option to downgrade.
And 5'8's not that short. It's not like you're 5'2" or 5'4",
I don't feel like it's that bad, but certainly the scientists, the fat cats in the lab coats decided that my seed wasn't worthy. So I had that. And then I had, after college, I thought, well, what am I going to do for a job? Let me, flip through backstage west here. And, the Blue Man Group is franchising.
Don't you dare tell me the Blue Man Group won't accept someone under 5'8", 5'9".
Boom.
Don't.
Boom.
That's racism right there.
The
blue men are racism.
The blue men, they are elitists.
They're elitists.
And, you can't quote them on it because they don't speak. But they do say in print that I was too short to audition to be a blue man.
You couldn't be blue.
I couldn't be blue or share my seed. Those are the two things I couldn't do.
Spate.
I know.
Richard Spate. Rob, how tall are you?
I think I'm like 5'10".
Oh, look at you gloating.
You're a fucking liar.
So,
you're looking at me laughing. You're you're lying.
No, because my mother-in-law asked me that the other day too,
and you're 5'10". Do you think you're one of those guys who's 5'9" but says 5'10"?
No, I honestly just don't know. I haven't measured myself in a long time. So
yeah, well,
it does become non-important at a certain age.
Yeah. Richard, you and I have two things in common.
Mm-hmm.
We both auditioned for Band of Brothers, and we both auditioned for Thank You for Smoking, Jason Reitman's film.
Mm.
And two other things in common. You got both of them. I didn't.
Yeah, well, you did fine.
Well, I remember testing and sat down in a room with Tom Hanks. And I'm sure you met him a couple times too.
Oh man,
in that room, and did he sit on the floor with you,
dude? That's the most intimidating. I mean, for me, meeting Tom Hanks was like meeting the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus and Jesus all at a poker.
Wasn't
game.
that just amazing?
Yeah.
And what a great series, and you were great in it.
Thank you.
You were great. You're memorable.
Thank you.
You know, and it wasn't like you just like, hey, he was in Band of Brothers. It's like you had a good part.
Yeah. It was. Listen, man, I will go to my grave with that being one of the highlights of not my career, but like of being a person on the planet. It was a cool project.
Yeah.
I think it changed, and I talk about this a lot when I'm asked. I think doing Band of Brothers changed the way, obviously, I perceived sort of the industry, because it was such a slap of reality to go, oh, you soft bunch of California actors come out here to do this thing. We were guys from all over the United States who did not know what an airplane felt like to fly in one until we jumped out of it and, got shot at.
One of the scariest things in the world.
I mean, I just think when you're playing, like when you see what those guys really went through and you meet the veterans and those men and their families and see what they actually were up against, what they volunteered to do and what they faced in that war, you certainly have very little to complain about in your cushy life. And so I think it very much affected how I perceive myself as a person, as an American, and as a father, and as a man. Honestly,
that's amazing. And how long did you work on that?
9 months. We were over there.
9 months.
9 months with some of the nicest guys on the planet. And that's the other thing is I consider some of those guys as close of friends as I have. From
Neil McDonough,
school.
one of the best. I play ice hockey with him. Love that man.
I know, and
a lot of kids.
That dude is very prolific in the kid department, and just a good dude. Big personality, big guy, good dude.
So listen, a lot of people they don't even realize. I was talking to a Koechner, David Koechner, who's a genius.
Love him.
And you say, hey, I'm interviewing David Koechner, and they go, I don't know who that is.
I do.
Well, of course we do. But a lot of guys around the country, people in Indiana where I grew up, whatever, David Koechner. But when they see his face, they're like, oh, I love that dude.
Right.
And I think you're one of those guys where it's like, they might not know Richard Speight, because it's easy to say Speight.
Sure it is.
Or Michael Rosenbaum, and then they see your face, and maybe they know you. But you have done so much work and so much good work that it's like, do you get recognized a lot?
I think a lot of people think I was I either taught them algebra as a substitute, or
I can somehow see that,
or I was in their class, or because
you're a normal guy.
Yeah, I think I have that. I mean, just when you factor it all together, and you and I've been around a long time. When you factor in all the commercials, all the guest spots, big jobs, small jobs. We've been in people's living rooms for 30 years.
Yeah,
25, 30 years. So even in small parts. So at a certain point, you start to look familiar.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Like the mailman, or the guy you drive past on the corner, or whatever.
I've seen him. I've seen it. But you have, unlike me, I think you've outdone me in terms of different shows and movies, your credits.
Well, you were too busy doing one for over a decade.
That's true. I had some luck and I got 7 years out of one, and that probably, but I look at all the stuff you done. I mean, you weren't Supernatural for how many years?
Yeah, here's the thing. Supernatural, that's another perfect example. Supernatural. Great show to be associated with.
Absolutely.
But I really only did a handful of episodes. It's just that show.
You did like 10?
I did 5.
Wait a minute.
I did 5 episodes.
You did 5 episodes of Supernatural. You played Gabriel?
Yeah. I did 5 episodes of Supernatural. I've now directed 4. I'm directing another one coming up this spring, which means I will have directed as many as I acted in.
How much do you get paid to direct an episode of Supernatural?
I can't say that. People will.
Hey, look, you can look online.
Well,
the DGA guideline, there's a certain.
I will tell you, I make a lot less than anybody who's acting on the show.
Yeah, those guys make a bundle of money.
We're not passing.
By the way, let me ask you, 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think your social media numbers went up when you were on Supernatural?
And social media didn't exist when I started Supernatural.
Oh yeah, because you started in the beginning, and I was on Smallville, and there was no social media.
No, in fact, it was funny because the same time I was doing Supernatural, when I did an episode or 2 of Supernatural back in the day, I was on a show called Jericho at the same time. And Jericho was one of the first shows I knew of to actually have an online presence. It had a lot of people online talking about it, which is why when Jericho, for TV history buffs, got canceled after season 1, fans all got together via the interwebs and sent a bunch of, tons of peanuts to CBS's New York office to protest the canceling the show. So they picked up the show for half season to let us finish telling the story. But
Wow.
and that was the first time. And the show right now, if you took the Jericho format in terms of its online audience versus its TV audience, a show would kill for those numbers. But back then, they didn't know how to monetize that online number. They go, oh, well, great. A lot of people are talking about it online. There's a lot of online engagement.
I've said that the same thing. Smallville didn't exist. I mean, social media really wasn't there at all.
Right.
It just didn't. It wasn't around.
Right.
So, which is fine. But it's a different game now. If you're on a show and people watch it, your social media goes nuts.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, you sort of wish, man, why couldn't social media be around then? But it's what it is.
It is what it is. And also, you know what? I'm on the fence whether social media is a benefit or a negative.
Because I think like Twitter, don't you think, has become sort of like the National Enquirer in a way?
Here's
I don't want to knock it, but it's just like, yeah, go ahead.
Here's I have a theory about this, and neither one is right. But on the negative, it has become, okay, let's just talk about what social media really is, because this is where I think people get where they misunderstand what it is or misuse it. Social media, when you post on social media, that's not a conversation, it's a proclamation. So anything you say is a statement.
True.
And so the responses that come in, it's not a dialogue. It's you go,
hey, this is words. Me. Here's what I think.
And so everybody comments and they react or whatever. And you're like, okay, so people can do it on purpose to rile people up. They can post to inspirational, whatever. And that's fine. It just is, it's not to be confused with, I should respond to them because I'm so mad about that. Why? It's not a conversation.
Yeah.
Like if what you see you don't like do you hammer out a review for every painting you see? Like it is a thing that exists.
Yeah.
Somebody says it, they do it, they post it. And so if you're a politician and you're saying, hey, I'm speaking at the town hall meeting on Thursday, that's fine. That's informational for your constituents. Or if you do it to rile people up and just say things and have it be out there. See, I mean, I think that it's abused in that regard. Like people pretend like social media doesn't require the same decorum or gentle touch that proper communication really requires.
Right, because there's no sort of what's the word? You know, the consequences immediately.
Right.
You say something on Twitter or Instagram, and it's just out there, and you don't really have to deal with it. I said what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with people's You could. Sometimes I think it's tough though when you're really passionate about something and something happens in the media or something happens and you actually do your due diligence. You read about things. You come up with an opinion.
Right.
And you're just like, you just can't stop yourself, and you put it out there, and you're gonna get the criticism.
Right.
And I try to stop myself from doing that a lot. I try to, because I think of something like, and I just look at, I go, what does it mean by sending this? What are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing by sending this? It doesn't affect anything. If anything, people are going to get pissed off at you if you say this.
Well,
so why even say anything?
At least you have the conversation with yourself.
I think a
lot of people don't, and I think that's a mistake. And I think that, you know, I have probably been more socially active in what I tweet or retweet in the last 6 months, but I feel like I'm driven by, I'm a political junkie. I love politics.
Right.
I follow politics, but I try to not involve myself in politics and social media because I feel like I'm very active in terms of telling people to be active.
Yeah.
I encourage people to vote. I believe in the two-party system, so I'm not about, hey, everybody stand on this one side of the teeter-totter.
Right. I
don't think the system works well when that happens. So I think it's fine to be of differing opinions, but I do think that there needs to be a level of decency and decorum that is part of any debate, and I think we've lost that. And I think we've lost that in the use of social media has been one of the instigators of that. What do you call it? The rotting away of that kind of decency and that kind of need to be respectful in your disagreements. I always say, if you can't have a agreeable discussion about where you disagree at your dinner table or with your friends, then how do you expect leaders to do the same on your behalf?
And also when you're tweeting, it's like you're tweeting out something. For the most part, you just want to hear all the people who agree with you.
Right. And
I'm right? Yeah, right? And then the one guy says, you're a fucking Hollywood douchebag fuck.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, Jesus, what happened?
Yeah, but you set yourself up for that. One sets oneself up for that. And, So like I have just gotten my feet wet in that world only because I feel like it's patriotism over party at this point. Like I feel like there's a certain amount of respect that the system needs that supersedes who you voted for or what.
And how many minds are you going to change?
Maybe none. But I feel like if you can inject, if you're the one guy who wore the tie to the wedding and everybody's in Daisy Duke shorts, maybe they'll think next time we should class this up.
Yeah.
Sure. Like I just feel like there's a certain amount of all I can say is how I want to be perceived and how I want to be presented. I have children now.
Yeah.
And they're not using.
How old are your children?
11, 9, and 6.
11, 9, and 6.
3 boys.
So you've got about 12 years before you get rid of the last one.
Yeah.
But you don't look at it that way.
No, not at all.
You love them.
They're the raison d'etre for everything I do.
Let's go back. I want to go back. I want to get inside of you, Spate.
All right.
By the way, Spate Jr., your dad was a Spate. He was Richard the First.
I mean, there's probably a Richard before him, but yes.
There was many Richards.
In our little line of family. Yes.
First of all, what's the worst names you've been called? Because Rosenbaum was Rosie Palm, Raisin Bran. I've got a lot of things.
Obviously.
Frozen Rosenbaum. My mother cooked frozen pizzas.
When your name is Richard,
right,
you have to be ready
for Dick.
You have to be able to.
You don't have to be ready for Dick.
Well, I mean, there's no way to say it where it doesn't sound weird. Don't snicker, Rob. You're so 5'10" over there.
Isn't he? Look at it. You're so 5'9".
Sitting in your.
Maybe I'm 5'9". I'd be fine with being 5'9".
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's nothing wrong with being 5'9". I mean, he could be 5. He's 5'8".
I don't know.
They wouldn't take his fucking semen, Rob.
They wouldn't. The Blue Man Group wouldn't take my semen.
Would they take yours?
I mean, I've combined the problems, but you get what I'm saying.
I do, and I fucking feel horrible. But go ahead about the dick.
You got to be, and I always say this because there's no way to even have this conversation without it sounding untoward. But when your name is Richard, you have to be prepared to embrace the dick.
Right.
That's
Dick
I mean,
Spate.
You've got to go that way. So I literally all my handles are. My buddies call me Dick Jr. Like you just got to go.
DJ.
You could spend your whole life going, "Don't call me that," and your life's going to be a miserable hellscape.
I got called asshole. I got called so many names.
So,
I just don't care. Rosie Palm. Hey, what does that even mean? It's like because you jerk off because you're in high school. You got to be gay if you jerk off. And I'm like, now I guess all my friends are gay because we all jerk off more than anything. I'm not a big jerk offer. We can get into that. But so what's the most creative? Like you're like, wow, that was a creative turn on my name.
Chard.
Dick Spate.
Chard. A bunch of my cousins from Atlanta, Georgia called me Chard. It's the second half of Richard.
Chard Spate.
And then I didn't realize that chard was a vegetable. It was
chard.
But it's like a thing. But I always thought, oh, that's clever. Because they didn't go with the obvious Dick Jr., Dick Face, Dickie, whatever. They went with Dickhead.
Did you think of changing your name as a child? Where you're like, Spate, I got to change my last name. It doesn't sound like a movie star. How about Richard Spatenhammer?
No, I never did. And, and I always, I went with Richard Spate Jr. Like it's not like my dad's an actor. I could have just gone with Rich Spate or I could have simplified it. But I went with the full, and it's like my name sounds like a law firm. It's a very long.
Richard Spate Jr. and Son.
It doesn't sound like a casual.
What about Rosenbaum?
But Rosenbaum has like a rhythm to it. Like Richard Spate Jr. sounds like a drum set falling downstairs. It's not. It's like Rosenbaum has like
Michael Rosenbaum.
It begins and ends.
Yeah,
Michael Rosenbaum.
I guess you're right. So take me back. Is it Nashville?
Nashville.
So Nashville. You come from a good family?
I do. Still very close to them.
Really? Mm-hmm. Very close with your mother and father. Not a lot of dysfunction?
No, I mean, I think every family has its own basket of dysfunction. No, but I'm so close to my folks, and I have 2 older sisters. And
how much older?
5 years and 3 years. So I'm the youngest.
Were you pretty tight with both of them?
Yes. We were close for kids, and then, of course, my oldest sister hit puberty when I was still a little kid.
Right.
So she went off and became social and went through high school, and I was still having sleepovers and had pillow fights. So we kind of lost. I wouldn't say lost touch, but sort of lost that connection you have with your siblings until I was in college and was older, and she was married.
Right. Well, I mean, was entertainment in the family? Were you funny? Were you outgoing? Were there actors in the family that made you want to go into this profession?
My oldest sister.
She was funny.
She's very funny, and she was the entertainer of the household. People find this hard to believe, but I don't think I spoke till I was 12, and she went to college. Because she was such a big personality and so funny at the dinner table and so entertaining. And my father was a entertaining fellow as well.
You were quiet.
Comparatively. I mean, there are quiet people in the world. I'm probably not one of them, but for a spate, I was quiet.
For a spate.
Yes.
And what made you decide, holy shit, I got to act? Was that that happened at a young age?
It did. I started doing theater by necessity, not my necessity. There was a friend of my mom's who called and said, "Hey, we're trying to do this play. We need a 5-year-old kid to walk on stage and then later on be dead in this Greek tragedy. Would Rich come do it?"
Would he walk and die?
Yeah, walk and die. Which, by the way, is maybe the follow-up to my autobiography.
Walk and die.
Better than shitty.
Better than shitty and walk and die.
So I did that. I went and walked and I died. And
you did it gracefully.
No, I actually peed my pants, literally, because
hang on,
the first night
you pissed yourself.
I pissed myself. Night 1 of the show.
Jesus.
So we rehearsed it. I rehearsed in my civvies, in my civilian gear. Night 1, they put me in the loincloth and the toga. They didn't tell a brother how to undo the loincloth. And so it came time to go tinky tink. And
how old were you?
5. And I was like, I can't get this thing off. So I just let love rule, man. Just let it happen right there backstage.
You pissed backstage, and it was apparent when you were wearing.
It was apparent
when you walked on stage.
No, dude, it was all over the floor. It wasn't a subtle an act. I pissed on the floor.
Were you well aware? Do you remember how upset you were?
I was super embarrassed.
Rob, have you ever pissed yourself?
Oh, he's 5'10". Why would he?
I mean, probably as a kid, but not.
You've never pissed yourself or shit yourself as a 28-year-old guy?
29 now.
Never.
Well, I think that's probably.
I think that's really fucked up.
I think that ship has sailed at 29.
What are you talking about? You never shit yourself, Spate?
As an adult?
I promised my friend Al Goff I would not talk about shitting as much. Sorry, Al, fucker.
No.
Okay, fine.
Not as an adult.
Never shit yourself.
As a grown-up? I'm sure we're talking about the same timeline.
Yeah. As an adult, you never had some Mexican in Silver Lake and trying to get to Glendale for a fucking photo shoot and you couldn't hold it. And
you have not. I challenge you. You have not taken a crap.
You haven't took a Richard Shate Jr.
I think the question is, when's the last time you shit?
Yeah, I don't believe.
I shit my pants. Well, to be honest with you, I don't want to get into it. It's not that disgusting if you're listening still and you don't like turd talk. But I remember
that's a great podcast.
Turd talk.
Turd talk.
Well, I remember we're just coming up with all sorts of titles here. But I remember, when I was like, I'm going to have a nice adult evening. I'm going to take a bath. I never take baths. So I put some Epsom. I always thought it was called Epson.
No, Epson's the printer. You
right.
Don't
Epson's a printer. Epsom. I don't want to put a printer and dye in the bath. And I had a nice bath and I dried off and I went to my bed and I lied there naked on my sheets and I lit a candle and I started to have a read. I don't know what I was reading, but I was having a read. And I just lifted my butt cheeks quickly for a small fart. And for some reason, a small worm-like turd flew out.
Wow.
That's because you fart a lot, too.
Well,
I force them out.
Well, let's not put blame on this. This is not why the story is being told.
That probably leads to you shitting yourself.
However,
maybe
the positive thing here is,
what's that?
You didn't shit your pants. You weren't wearing pants.
That's true, but I shit the bed.
Yeah, well, that's not. That was the topic.
Was that's true? I did not shit my pants then. Anyway, so go on. So you pissed yourself as a 5-year-old, and what was the name of the production? It was
that toe tapping American classic, The Trojan Women.
The Trojan Women.
Yes, and I played a Stynax.
What does that mean?
I don't know. That was the kid's name.
Stynax.
I think it was a Stynax. I don't know.
So you did this, and you said at the end of it, you go, "I got it. I got the acting bug. I pissed myself."
You think
I've got this.
If that wasn't a red flag,
yeah, I got this.
Now that
look out, Strasburg.
How do you put it like that? I really should have read the signs. I did that, and then I did some other play. And you know what happened was,
look out, Joe Piscopo.
I think there we go. No, that's another Tom Petty. You're like going down the. I feel like that doesn't count as really acting. I mean, that was like doing a family friend a favor. Then I ended up doing another play or something with them. But nobody in my family is into it. Barbie did a little bit of stuff like theater. Barbie's my oldest sister.
Right.
She got into it and was doing it. And I kind of followed in her footsteps. What I liked about it was never about the idea of I want to be on TV. I never had this desire of like, I want to be on TV. I want to make movies, which I think is why I never changed my name from Richard Spade Jr.
Right.
Because I loved the team sport aspect of doing plays and doing things like that and watching what it took to get a group of people together to
Really?
pull something off. Yeah, I loved that.
I always loved the camaraderie. I always loved being around people and laughing
Yeah.
and goofing. And that's why I just really loved, I think I was divergenized. I met a girl I was doing a play Grease my senior year, and she was a sophomore, and she was like, I remember just sitting there watching everybody else rehearse, and we had like 2 hours before they even got to our stuff.
Right.
I didn't have a huge role. It was Vince Fontaine, the DJ in Grease. And we're sitting there, and she goes, and this is after weeks of rehearsal, she goes, "Are you a virgin?" And I go, "What?" Of course. And finally we say, "We're both virgins." She goes, "At the end of the year, if you're still a virgin and I'm a virgin, we should have sex." So I just remember that sort of, isn't that a great deal?
It's good. It's a good. Yeah, that never. I never.
That
got
never happened.
No.
Well, when you're pissing yourself, Spade, it's not
No.
gonna happen as often. But I just remember this atmosphere of just, it felt fun to be around people who are all part of something. And
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm saying. I dug that. I still do. I still think that's one of the cool things about doing what we do.
Right.
Because it's still fun to go on a set and see people who give a shit about what they do what they do. Now, you go on some sets and it's filled with buttholes and it's not fun.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Do you feel like you are more of a cerebral guy on sets, more of a guy who just keeps to himself, remembers his lines, focuses, sort of methody, or are you more of the gregarious, fun-loving guy?
Depends. If I'm going in to do a guest star, I'm the
Quiet
cerebral
guy.
guy. Yeah.
Right.
I kind of feel like I'm visiting somebody else's house. I'm there to do my thing. I'm going to do my thing. If they open up the conversation and we get chatting, I'm a chatty guy.
Right.
So
So you leave it up to them.
But I'm not going to engage and disrupt whatever the vibe is for that show and that
Right.
space, and that's what people do.
Right.
They have their routine.
So if it's like you're invited to someone's Thanksgiving dinner, you don't want to go there, hey, and start telling jokes and stuff because, hey, it's like I was
Yeah.
invited here.
Yeah, and I know that some people have a different, method of dealing with being nervous or being the new kid.
But you are nervous when that happens.
Absolutely.
in Guest stars.
That's what I'm saying. So
Every guest star you've done, you're nervous.
absolutely. I always tell my kids, it's like being the first day at school. Like I said, there's a first day at school, even when you're an adult in a new school. Like every time you go on a set.
Do you feel like you need to get it on the first take and then it'll make it easier? If you just feel like you're close or you're
Yeah, I do. I obviously am pressured that way. I remember, like, I just think that's a weird job being a guest star.
it's very weird, yeah.
Like, was Smallville a good place for guest stars? Were you guys nice to guest stars?
I think if you ask anybody, honestly, there's one I don't compliment myself too often. Rob, would you agree?
Yeah.
Thank you. Fuck's sake. Too long of a
From the
pause.
dramatic pause
Yeah,
department.
fuck.
Well, I don't have headphones on, so.
Oh yeah, so why you can't hear
You
me
can't
talk?
hear.
I'm right next to you. I don't have headphones on. I can't hear you.
Literally, a therapist and a patient would be further apart.
I think if you ask, that's exactly right. My Dr. Krausman's right across from me. I just said his name. That's weird. I think if you ask anybody who ever came on Smallville, they'd say I probably was the nicest.
That's great.
I mean, I'm just saying that. I'm going to toot my own horn because I go out of my way
Right.
because I think it scares me looking at them going, oh my God, you're just coming into our family and we're so goofy and fun and it's an hour drama and you have all these lines and you've never done it and it's a big show and there's so much pressure on you. I honestly want to do whatever I can to make them feel comfortable. And I know it's weird. I care more. I really do want them to be as great as they can be. And I could see sometimes their lips quivering or they're shaking, or sometimes you'd see that or they couldn't get the lines
Right.
out. And I do not, envy them.
I don't think that's weird. I think that's cool. I mean, I think that's how people should be. I think our industry doesn't necessarily promote that idea. Look, I mean, we talked about Supernatural. Jared and Jensen are incredibly gracious guys when you
Yeah.
go in their set.
Jensen, yeah, he was on Smallville too. I remember when he first came on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because Jensen started out on Smallville and then he got his own show, Supernatural, a few years later.
And just like they're still
Never got an offer to do Supernatural.
sons. What
10
the-
years. 10 years they've been on 15,
They've been on
20?
13 years.
27 seasons.
Still going.
Still going.
You know?
Yeah.
That ship hadn't sailed.
Yeah, I don't know. Do I want to get involved in season 15?
I don't know. Yeah.
Michael Rosenbaum will make an appearance in season 17 of
Listen,
Supernatural.
it's still a good show.
It is. You know what's funny? It is a good show. Are you kidding me? This is one of the biggest shows in history. This is the following of this show is just, I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
So is it a good show? Of course it's a great show. There's millions and millions of people that like it. I'm just saying, I mean, I don't even know if anybody would want me on that.
Oh, now come on.
Here's the thing. I've never really done, this is weird because we were talking about this. It's not because I haven't wanted to. I've never guest starred on a show.
Ever? Even before Smallville?
I did a show called, God, what was it called? It was with Selma Blair, and it was with Montel
Montel Williams?
the
Talk show
talk
host?
show host. He had a show, and it was called, I don't forget what it's called. And it was a guest star. I worked for a week, and I just had like 8 lines, and I was like the goofy guy, and that was it. Other than that, I think because Smallville was 7 years, and then I did Impastor for 2 years, and then I did another show for a year. So I never was really a guest star to just do one. And I don't think, I could be wrong, I just can't remember.
Wow.
But so I always thought, God, if I was a guest star coming on a show, that it would scare the shit out of me. Would I be a guest star? Of course.
Right.
If it was the right show, in a heartbeat. But it
Interesting.
is a frightening thing.
You've had a unique career in that regard, in terms of at least my social group. I think a lot of guys have sort of duct taped their career together with guest stars. Sort of that's the patchwork between longer jobs. That's great that you've had the experience of being able to like get in, sink your teeth into stuff, find a home, make it your own.
Hang on. I did this show called Breaking In, which really lasted 2 years, but my buddy who created it said, "Hey, will you come on and just it's literally like 1 page of dialogue for the pilot." And I go, "Can I do what I want?" He goes, "Fuck yeah, come in and do whatever you want." So I dyed the tips of my hair blonde. I wear Uggs, tucked my jeans into them. I played a real douchey guy, and I did it. And then they offered me 13 episodes, the whole season. And
That's great.
I was like, "What? No, I just came in. I don't want, and it was just a lucky thing." But I remember feeling the pressure. I remember it was nothing. It was like I was doing them a favor, but I was still nervous because you want to nail it. You want to be good. There's always a pressure of that. I don't know anybody who doesn't feel that pressure.
No, I don't either. And I think that's I think, so that's why I'm quiet, is my point. Like, that's why I don't show up going, "Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Wah.
Yeah.
Meet me. I'm a force to be reckoned with."
I pissed myself when I was 5.
You remember that story?
Come on.
Yeah, I don't do that.
So your parents were really supportive.
Oh, yeah.
And you started getting into it, and they were like, "Hey, you're good." Did they tell you were good?
Well, I think my parents told me I was good in the same way they said I was, good at a lot of crap that I was bad at. I mean, like they came to all my football games, and I was a fucking terrible football player.
Really?
Oh, my God. I love the sport. I loved it.
But you weren't good.
No.
And you admit that.
Well, to not admit that would be, it's terrible.
Well,
you'd get a bevy of phone calls from Nashville, Tennessee going, "I played football with this man. He's an embarrassment to the sport."
If we start taking calls, caller 1. Yeah, this is Brad. What's up, Chard?
You suck.
You suck, man.
You suck at
what do you tell them you like football? You suck.
I loved the game, and this is what I figured out about me. I love anything that has camaraderie. I love camaraderie. I have a lot of great friends.
Football
from high
has
school.
camaraderie.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We did the 2-a-days, the whole 9. Get your bell rung like a mofo. Like, get your clock cleaned. I was on the opposing, I never started, so I was just the guy who worked on so the starters could work on the opposing team's offense or defense. I worked on the opposing team.
Right.
And would just get
mauled.
Yeah, just
that
skinned alive.
Spate is really he's a brave soul. He'll never play one moment, but he is great good for the team.
This sums up my football career. We had a legendary high school coach who'd been there since the dawn of time, and I was trying to impress. And at one point, I was a junior, and he was so mad at the team that was setting up to be the test team for offense. He's like, "Oh, get out of here, whoever you are. Give me another wingback." And I raised my hand, and he looked right at me. He goes, "Give me a different wingback." I couldn't even get in to be the test case.
Did that break your heart?
Nah. I thought it was a smart move.
Really? You thought like that? Because
Yeah.
I was so competitive back then that if they chose someone else.
Dude, it did not. I loved the game, but was aware of the fact that I was not, but for a few locker room jokes, not bringing a lot to the table in terms of the win-loss column.
What else aren't you good at?
Oh, a lot of stuff.
Honestly, what would you say? This is what I'm not good at.
I'm not a great athlete, period. I love sports.
Okay.
And I'm not a
That's
great,
okay.
sport. So I'm one of those guys who, gets the green participant ribbon a lot.
Nice.
I loved it though. Like I played basketball, couldn't play for the main school team. So me and my friends who all sucked went and played for a church league, and played for a church that we did not belong to. We joined the Westminster.
Or you didn't
Church.
believe in what they were prophesying.
They never checked. It was a good thing. And my coach's name was Dick Bacon. How about that?
Dick Bacon, Dick
Yeah.
Spate.
He went by Richard Bacon, but come on, who are we kidding?
Dick Bacon.
And we played. I played church ball. Now I ran track. Not good at that. Played baseball. Broke my nose playing baseball. Missing a pop fly, and it just smashed me in the nose.
Still looks pretty straight. Did you get that
No,
fixed?
it's no.
You have Spate's got a straight nose.
I don't.
That looks all right. Mine's a little crooked from
It's-
hockey. And,
You're seeing it in the shadow, like it's not.
oh,
So I love playing sports. Still do.
yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's fun.
Yeah.
And so from here, you started falling in love with acting,
Yeah, I did.
and you went to college.
Went to USC.
You went to USC. Now, how hard is it to get into USC?
I think if you're trying to get into USC film school, it's very hard.
And you didn't do that.
I did not. I went to USC theater school.
And how hard is it to get in theater school?
I'm not sure it's hard at all. I'm not sure.
Is it not?
I think if you're going to the BFA program, then you audition and you have to be vetted and a board watches you act.
Did you get a scholarship?
No. So I had to do school jobs to,
Did your dad help pay for college?
My father was not in that position. So I worked,
Are you still paying your loans?
no, I did. I finished it off. I remember that I finished it off by the time I was 30. That was my big goal.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And how much does it cost to go to USC for 4 years?
Well, now, I mean, Lord
or
knows.
how much did you spend at that college?
I had to have spent $200,000.
$200,000 to go to USC for 4 years.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's about right. I mean, I could be wrong, but that sounds right to me. Maybe it was 150, but it was a lot. And this is
Woo!
long time ago too. 25.
Did your
30
parents pay for school, Rob?
No, but the school I went to, my dad worked for the company that owned it, so it was free for me.
Where'd you go to school?
The International Academy of Design and Technology.
Oh, cool.
He's smart.
Yeah.
He's a liar, but he's smart.
Why am I lying?
Oh, yeah, I just
510 gate.
you know those things.
All right, we can measure after this.
So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to
Yeah.
go to school. And so when you told your parents at this point you were doing plays in high school, you were
Yeah.
at this point doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And they saw your ability. You're probably winning awards in school, right?
I did fine. I mean, yeah, I went to an all boys school. There was I was the only guy in my class who acted. So yes, I got the drama award. I was also the only person up for it. So
How could that be? If you're the only, there had to be many actors there.
not my year. So we all did plays at the girls' school. And at the girls' school, there's no theater department. We had no department.
So you're the go-to guy.
I was the go-to guy, but I couldn't do musicals, so I wasn't the go-to guy for musicals. I was only the go-to guy for plays. And then I did, the play. And there's other guys who were acting, but they were not my year, or they were my year, but not as serious about it.
You were good. Let's be honest.
Well,
You were in Nashville,
I feel like I did fine.
and there was a reason you said, I want to go to USC. I want to go to California.
Yeah, I wanted to pursue it. I wanted to pursue it as a career. I was fascinated enough by the whole process. I had done a couple of like Disney Channel movies that had come through Nashville. I got a couple lines in them, so I'd been on a set to see what that looked like. I'm like, ooh, that's cool.
That's a little experience.
yeah, so I want to do that. So
And your parents said, we agree.
I remember telling my father, who was an attorney, I remember telling him that I wanted to move to move to California and go to college. And I remember where I was. I can tell you the 4-way stop. I was at the intersection of Tyne Boulevard and Granny White Pike.
Hey, Tyne and
Granny White.
Granny White Pike, Pyke.
I think it was P.I.?
Pike?
Yeah.
I don't know why I spelled it like that.
I don't know. You're old English?
I don't know, but then I'm imagining, set me the scene up here. What, is it raining?
It's not raining. And let's see if I can, we're probably in the Buick Skylark.
Anything on the radio? Maybe a little Henley?
No. This is Dick Sr. we're talking about. Probably George Jones.
Okay, some George Jones.
Maybe.
And there's
Willie
there's a
Nelson.
stagnant pause before you said dad.
And I don't know why I decided this was the time. I cannot tell you what the precursor leading up to this was. I don't know
Okay,
the preamble.
tell me about it.
But we ended up there, and I said, I was 15, so I wasn't even making college choices yet. But for whatever reason, I decided in my mind, and I said, I want to move to California to go to college and study theater. And my father
Said "fuck you" for the first time. You ever heard him say "fuck"?
And then he drove into a bridge abutment.
And then he slammed into the PYKE.
Yeah, and he hit Granny White. He just took her right out.
That's right.
You know, a man who had sort of overseen my sister's college choices. I remember he was very quiet for a little bit. He goes, "Okay," but that was the end of the conversation. So I didn't know how it landed.
So
And
okay,
But he said, "Okay," but not okay like great.
Oh, okay.
It was like it's like if you said we're only letting you have the watermelon water, I'd be like, okay. I mean, it's neither committal nor, you know.
It was just, you're right.
So I was like, it was like he was processing, and then I never said another word about it until Christmas came, and my parents gave me a UCLA sweatshirt, which to me was their
But that's the
acknowledgement.
wrong school.
Well, I didn't know what school I wanted to go to.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like, it didn't
I was
matter.
like, wait a minute.
I didn't end up
I'm
going
not going there.
But they gave me a sweatshirt from a university in Southern California.
And that said, hey, we support you.
Yeah, it said, sure. go do
It took, my dad saw me in Prelude to a Kiss and maybe some other play in college, and it was my junior year.
Where'd you go to college?
Western Kentucky University. It didn't cost as much as USC. I mean, very, very little.
Right.
But I remember we were in Denny's, and I said to him, Dad, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be an actor. And he just looked at me and goes, eat your steak.
Yeah.
That was it.
Eat your steak.
Eat your steak. I talked to him about it this week, and he came in and we talked about it. He was like, I don't really remember that exactly. I'm like, well, dude, I get it. It's like your son who's already in college, junior year, is deciding to do something that's 1 in a million chances
Right.
of him making any money, being successful at all. People don't realize how difficult it is to make any money in this business.
Yeah.
I've learned to just, when someone's doing, I'm happy for everybody. It's great you found something to make money at, to enjoy, to, I don't care what it is. I'm trying not to judge. You know, you got YouTubers who are making a fortune. Hey, they're doing something that other people enjoy.
Right.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Do
Yeah.
you feel that way?
Yeah, I don't. I
don't.
I've never had a problem with other people's success. And now people who listen to this who aren't actors might go, well, duh. But no, I think in our industry that there is a lot of, oh, you got a job. Great, you got this. That's good for you. And meanwhile, you're like, motherfucker, I never even got to read for that.
Yeah.
Like you just, I think.
Sure. I think that's just always going to be part of you, like that you don't like.
But I think some people wear that on their sleeve and other people handle it better. And I don't think that. I know for a fact.
Yeah.
And, so.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with that. I think I have I think there's been ego in the past or ego in the present. There's ego everywhere. But I think there's been times where I'm just like you think, I know I'm fucking good enough to do something, to be considered for something.
Right.
There's definitely, I have had that. And that's just like confidence in yourself and going, hey, I want a fucking opportunity to do something. But also it's weird. It's like sometimes you hear there's so many shows on TV and you're like, wait a minute, this is a great show. Why did I even hear about this? I never hear about any of these great shows.
Right. Well,
you know?
I do think I think that if you are a focus-driven person who is sort of likes to have their success measured by effort and grading and that kind of thing, this is the wrong profession.
Yeah.
Because if you graduate from Yale Law School in the top 10% of your class, you're going to get in a good law firm.
Yeah.
Period. You're going to do fine.
Period. Not this.
You graduate in Yale Theater School as the best actor out of that school.
Doesn't
you
matter.
may never make a nickel.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. I have friends who are great actors who are not making anything.
Right. So like it's frustrating in that regard that you go, it doesn't matter how hard you work. Or now it does matter. I believe that effort pays off. And I believe that, you do have to be good to succeed long-term. All these things I do believe to be true, but really and truly just out of the gate, there's no correlation between academic excellence, academic success, and raw talent and business success.
Yeah.
Those things are not all inexorably linked like they are in other professions. And so that can drive one nuts if you let it get in your noodle.
I think for a long time, I know my dad would always be like, I know what he was thinking. It's like, come on, you're an actor. How hard is your job? You don't work. You don't work. because he's learned to, he was working 6 to 6 every night for his entire life and busted his ass and, worked for a company and he's like, what are you doing? You say a few lines. You say a few. All of a sudden I turned him into your dad. What the heck? No, he was, it's just, and I found myself at a younger age just always defending myself. Do you realize the odds of me even being on the show? Do you realize that the hours they work us 12 to 16 hours? Sometimes there is work involved.
Right.
There's stress and there's learning things and there's being good and not getting fired. And when it's something you do get fired or the job ends, you're now looking for another job.
Right.
Our job is always looking for another job.
Exactly. I always think that's the thing that people don't think about. I mean, maybe for a select few, it's just wait for the phone to ring. But for the most part, the counter just zeroes out. You're just back to being out of work along with everybody else in town. And
do you always still think about that? Because it's different when you have a family. Do you feel like I got to work because I got to make more money? Because are you in the mentality where your mentality is I want to work, I love work, I'll do any work? Do you turn things down?
Oh, almost
a lot.
Almost never.
Never.
Almost never, because I don't get enough crazy crap coming in my door that I feel like I need to be fielding offers. Like, the occasional thing that comes through. There are some things that come down the pipeline that I don't want to do, like super gory horror or things like that I'm just really not into.
Right.
But that said, there's very little I
You
won't
do
do.
a psychological thriller or something like that, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you do some gore, right?
Yeah. There's very
Okay,
little
just checking.
there's very little I don't do. And also because I like to be busy. I don't like to sit around doing nothing. And I also feel like you never know what door opens from what. Like you doing, perfect example, you doing that one monologue to your friend, and then it's 13 episodes of work. You just don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
When you go in and do,
that's a great way to think.
An episode. That's just how, I kind of feel. I travel a lot, which is a drag if you're trying to raise kids. That's it. So it's not like I'm looking for excuses to leave town. I'm looking for the opposite.
Do you still do this, or have you ever done this? Because I think I still do this occasionally, where I look at things and I go, okay, you could live this long if you don't work again. You could actually live till.
Oh, listen. One of my hobbies is I go on like Redfin or those real estate sites and go, if I move to Scranton,
I've done that.
What house can I get?
If I sell my home right now and I go to Indiana, I could probably move where I grew up, probably a half a mile or two from Best Buy, and I could live in a decent sized house with a lake and probably not have to worry for a while.
Right. Yeah, well, because my wife's from Oregon, so we look at Oregon and go, ooh, we could really score.
I'm telling you. Because you live in I'm not going to say where you live, but you probably, it's not a cheap place. Rent's not cheap. Mortgage isn't cheap. You have kids.
I know. Los Angeles isn't cheap.
You have 3 children.
I have 3 children. In private school, no less.
Do you want private school?
Yeah.
How much is private school?
This school is about $25 a kid.
So $75,000 a year for your kids.
Yeah.
So you have to make $150,000 just to support those 3 kids in private school.
Yes.
Now we're talking food. Now we're talking wife.
Those boys eat.
Those boys could take some food down.
Let me tell you something, man.
Are they going to be taller than 5'8"?
I don't know, but regardless, they're going to eat their way to their max height. God bless Costco. I mean, truly, it's a game changer. Because those boys who are not, look, I mean, at one point, one of my sons was like, Dad, I'm taller than blah, blah, blah in school. I'm like, yeah, I'd
don't get your hopes up.
I would have dial that back. I know your father.
I know your father.
Enjoy while it lasts.
Junior. What's funny is I remember I can relate to this because I was the smallest kid in my high school.
But you're like 6'1" or something.
I'm 6 on the dot. My dad was 6'5", my mom's 5'7", and my senior year I was 5'2.5", and I barely had puberty. I couldn't get nailed in wood shop, and I just was like, I'm effed. And I remember crying to my parents one day, going, "What drugs did you do? Why am I not tall? Dad's tall. You're tall. Why am I short? I don't get it."
Yeah.
And I graduated from high school. In the next year and a half, I grew 9.5 inches.
Holy cats.
And it just, and I think that's why I have neck and back problems so much, is because of
That's fast growth.
That's fast growth. And my penis grew a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, well,
I don't know why I even
beggars
threw
can't
that
be
out there.
choosers, I suppose.
Yeah. I guess that's true.
That's crazy.
So that's a lot of money that you really have. There's a pressure. There's a certain pressure that you have to work when you have kids.
Yeah, but
it's them you're looking after now, not yourself.
Yeah, but it's work, right? Like, yeah, we picked a career that's kind of like fantasy camp. When we get to work, we get to a movie set, we get to like, they feed us, they bring out snacks. There's, they warm up your trailer, they do all this crazy crap, and that's yeah, you're not all jobs are like that, but most of them are if you get a decent job.
You ever get fired?
No,
never.
Oh, but I do. Well, okay, yes, but this is the interesting thing. So I auditioned for a role back when I was in college. I used to just my hobby was growing weird facial hair shapes. I would just, as soon as I had facial hair, I thought that was the greatest thing ever.
You could grow at early age,
starting at 19 or whatever. So I grew giant like Elvis style mutton chops.
Yeah,
huge. And I went in to audition for something. One line on something as a pizza delivery boy, and I auditioned for it. And a couple days later, I shaved my sideburns, whatever. Got a call. Hey, they want you to come play the pizza delivery boy. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's great. Oh wait, you should let them know I shaved the sideburns. And they called me back and they said, you're fired. So, I mean, I never really got hired.
But so that's not really, you never really got hired.
Right.
I was really fired from one job.
What was that?
Have I talked about that, Rob?
You've mentioned it briefly, but not
well, it was just, in brief, it was, I was doing a show for NBC. A lot of great people. It's where I met Bruce Campbell, who became good friends with. And it was one of the lead roles. And who else was on that? She's on that show on Netflix. That's like the comic book Marvel thing.
Jessica Jones.
Yeah. Why don't I just go blank? She's a friend. Why?
The lead guy.
I can't believe this. Fucking say it. The audience right now is saying her name, and anyway, she's a good friend. So I was on.
Seems like a super good
Kristen
friend.
Ritter.
Kristen Ritter. I don't know, for some reason I was just thinking about something else in the headphones, and I just shut up. Shut up, Rob.
Anyway,
you should have been there faster. It's high speed here.
You should be ready to look up all his really good friends.
It's the internet.
Yeah. What a dick. How did I not remember a name for some reason? You ever do that? I'm getting old, though, dude.
All the time, man.
Yeah. So then stop harassing me. So I'm doing this role, and I'm the lead, and there's this big director, and he's directed a lot of big movies, directed all the big shows. We do a read through. They love me. They're like going hilarious. I shoot. I mean, I'm shooting the whole thing. The director's coming up to me after the day is going, dude, my wife and I watched Dailies last night. You're fucking killing it. You're so funny. You're amazing. Like on and on. Producers are coming up to me. What's his name? Will Ferrell's partner, Adam McKay, comes up to me and goes, dude, you're so fucking funny on this show. Okay, Adam McKay, one of my heroes.
Right.
I'm like, I'm fucking bank. I'm winning here. This is good. I'm excited. I'm confident. And after we got done filming, I noticed that the creator, who I'm still friends with, was like, hey, we need you to come and do ADR and change some lines. I go, wait, why? I love those lines. We start ADRing lines to make my character nicer. And I go, dude, I signed on to, because I like this guy. He's kind of a dick, and it's the 1950s NASA, and he doesn't realize he's being chauvinistic and all these things.
Right.
And it started, we need you to ADR again. And all these, and I started to get like, what are they doing changing this character? So I kind of got upset. But then the director's like, hey, you said you had a little screening room at your house. Can we just watch it all there? The whole cast, watch at your house. So I go, F yes. I'll order pizzas, everything. We watched the show. It's good. I noticed the character, they took out a lot of that chauvinistic stuff, and it was the 50s. So it like made sense. And it just was like, he wasn't a bad guy. So long story longer, the show, the day they're going to pick up all the shows, they're waiting, and they're not picking it up, and they're not picking it up. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I guess I don't have a lot of faith in this show. So finally, my agent calls and go, hey, they picked it up for 5 episodes. 5 episodes? I'm like, okay, well, it's 5 episodes. It's a mid-season replacement. The next call I got was the creator of the show saying, in tears, with the other guy, with the other producer, hey, Rosie, I don't even know what to fucking say to you right now, but I'm just going to say it. The network said to pick up the 5 episodes, we have to get rid of your character because it's just, I don't know, they thought he was too much of a dick and they want us to just rewrite the whole character.
Wow.
And I just go, I remember I was in my office and I go, And I snapped out of it because I immediately, I just go, dude, I love you. I loved working with you. This was a great treat. I'm shocked. I can't believe it because it's my ego. And it's like, what the fuck are they thinking? And I just said, I love you both. I hope we work together again. I know we will. I got off the phone with them and I sat in my office chair and I took a deep breath and I go, you just got fired from a major fucking network. And I thought I was starting to go down the downward spiral where your thoughts can go domino and you're not good enough. You're fired and everyone's going to know about it and all these things that you think of.
Right.
And then I just stopped myself and I looked at my dog and I go, you fucking love me. I got my dog. I have a nice house. I'm not broke. I have great friends.
Don't have cancer.
I don't have cancer. I'm not going to die.
Right.
Actually, the cancer thing didn't come to mind, but you're right. I should have thought of that.
Well, I always think that's a thing. I mean, that's a phone call you don't want to get.
No, absolutely. But I just changed my whole. It's amazing how the mind works, where you could just go, you know what? And I embraced it. And I'm telling you, I embraced it to the point where the next week I had to go speak at my old college, and then I started with, make sure this is the career you want to do. Make sure this is what you want to get into. Make sure you want to be an actor. By the way, I just got fired last week.
Right.
And I told the story, and it felt so empowering to say, we fail. Every fucking person fails.
Right.
I needed that failure. Believe it or not, I needed it.
Yeah.
But the show never got picked up. It doesn't matter. But still, that that feeling, you just have to. But yeah, being fired, it wasn't fun, but it happens.
It does happen. And I feel like, and I don't know if you've experienced that, and it's not necessarily being fired, but when it's down to like you and somebody else and you've read for it 9 times and you're like
many times,
and then they're like, you were awesome.
Yeah, Band of Brothers.
We hope to find something for you.
Yeah,
in the show.
And they never do.
They never do.
They never do. They never do.
No, they never do.
Richard, they never do. They say, we love you. We're going to use you.
We're going to find something for you.
Never.
They never.
I've never had it where they
once.
bring me in. Never.
Nope.
All you fucking creators out there. Don't say anything.
Say,
just don't
you
tell.
didn't get the job.
Hey, good
You'll
job.
Never darken the door of our set.
Yeah, you're probably not going to work on our show.
This doesn't work. Yeah.
This has been a real treat.
This has been amazing.
This really has. Rob?
It's been great.
Oh, he's so reveling in his 5
He's cute, isn't he?
He's cute, but
he's a young man. He had a kid at a young age. You weren't.
He's fertile.
He's fertile. He's 5'10".
5'10".
Yeah.
He's closely shorn.
Yeah, he's a good photographer.
Clean cut.
He is clean cut. He's kind of a dick, but he's a lovable dick. Like, he's a smart ass.
You know what's surprising about you, Rob? Is that you're like clean cut, totally clean cut. Father, young man, Madras plaid shirt, classy socks.
Yeah.
But you got ink dipping down under that sleeve.
Yep.
Like there's a
Isn't
dark
that
side.
the weirdest thing? He has tattoos.
I know.
What is that?
That threw me off.
Is that
I'm
Homer
like,
Simpson spate?
I don't. That's an angry mouse.
Radiohead.
Radiohead.
Oh, you were in that generation where Radiohead was such an impact that you needed to get a tattoo of Radiohead on your fucking arm.
That's pretty.
See, this is the difference in our generations, Rob. I got a tattoo of my grandmother Ruthie, who died. You have Radiohead on your fucking arm.
I hate to tell you something, Rob, but that's not a radio. That's a mouse with.
That's
fangs.
a head.
Yeah.
It's at least a head, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's a good tattoo. I'm not knocking your tattoo. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
No, it's just
like it at all.
It just shows me that there's something lurks in Rob. You know?
Yeah,
I got this
maybe
when
an
I was 18.
STD.
I got this when I was 18.
Did you?
That was about 4 weeks ago.
Were you?
Just so you know.
Somebody else harassing Rob.
I'm an old man.
I love it. Believe me, he gives me so much shit that it's fine. If you listen out there, Rob gives me shit. Don't worry about it. Richard Spate Jr. I seriously, I really feel like I know you. I say this on a lot of episodes where I get to know someone. Even my real close friends, I get to know them.
Right.
I honestly want to hang out with you. I know you have a family and you have private schools to put them through, but I like you. I think you're a genuinely good guy. You're talented as shit. I hope you'll consider working with me if I ever ask you.
I feel the same way. And it's funny to me that we have never, like, I'm glad we did this. Truly, people are kind of having an ear on our first actual conversation.
This is.
Because we've DM'd and emailed and run into each other a couple times.
Yeah.
But this is like the first chat.
Well, Kirk Ward and Greg Coolidge, who we started with talking about them, they produced a show called Skyward, which did not get picked up, but you were in. And I watched it to give, they always send me stuff and go, watch this if you have any notes or whatever. And I loved it. And I went on about it. And I said, the best thing about that was you.
Oh, that's nice.
And it really was. I was like, this guy is so talented. I just loved watching him. He's so interesting. And then Kirk and I were talking. He's like, dude, you should totally get Spade on your show. I'm like, yes, I'd love to have him on our show.
Well, I'm glad.
So it was one of those
threw
things,
that out there.
and I am, because to me, I want to have people on here that I for the most part like, I'm interested in, maybe want to work with. Thanks for coming to my house.
Thank you for having me to your lounge.
Thanks for let me be inside of you.
It's been oddly comfortable.
I'm gonna piss my pants.
Let's put a pin in that.
At least I'm not 5.
Yeah.
Wait, I should be 5.
Yeah, wait a
It'd be
minute.
better.
Let's not blame the 5-year-olds.
Yeah, why?
I think I'm taking bad.
They're
the heroes here.